as he stands up, I draw back, and he's just standing there broadside, looking right in our direction, and put the pin on him and pull, and that shot breaks, and it's just wild, man.
Howdy, folks, and welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast. I'm your host, Michael, and we got another great episode for you today. Today, we're actually connecting with Brian Barney. If you don't know him, check him out, man. He is awesome. He shares some amazing stories. Actually, I think all from just this past season, which is amazing that he has so many stories just from one season. But that's what he does. He works with Eastman's Hunting Journal. He's an editor there. He's written articles. He makes movies. Hunting movies specifically. But he's jack of all trades, and he just has a passion for hunting that we all could dream of. So that being said, please give him a follow. I put some links in the show notes. He told me don't include any links, but I'm going to do it anyways. Give him a follow. Check him out. He's doing awesome stuff all the time. Check out his podcast. Let's go ahead and kick this thing off, man. I don't want to steal any more of his thunder, but let's let Brian tell you some of his stories. Thank you guys for tuning in. Let's kick this thing off. All right, Brian. Welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast, brother. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on, Michael. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, I'm super excited to connect with you. I've actually had a fair amount of the folks from Eastman's, but you were one that I was almost like intimidated to reach out to because, man, you're a stone cold killer, and you put out some great stuff as well. You have an amazing podcast, some great videos. So, Brian, I'm fanboying a little bit here, but I'm excited to have you on the podcast, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thanks for the kind words and compliments, and yeah, hopefully I can live up to it. We can get into a good conversation for sure.
Yeah, let's do this. I imagine plenty of people know who you are, but of course we've got listeners around the world, so maybe some folks don't. So why don't we start with maybe you introducing yourself so that people know who they're going to be hearing some stories from today.
Yeah, so my name's Brian Barney. I live in Ennis, Montana, 45 years old, and so basically I've just had a passion for bow hunting. I live, eat, sleep, and breathe it, work hard at it 365 days a year, and through that, I was able to get my toe in the door of the outdoor industry, so I started writing way back 2007 and got the attention of Eastman's and was able to get employed there as a full-time staff writer, and then started a podcast in 2015, which I continue to run. So we're in our 11th year now.
Crazy. That's a long time for podcasting.
Yes,
10 years.
For sure. Yeah, I was early to it. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. I've never missed a week. I've had one out consistently for 11 years. So that's a feat in itself. It's a kind of a treadmill when you get on it, but it's something I truly love, connecting with other hunters. And so yeah, I've done that, and then also have some films out there, got my chance to video some hunts, and I always thought, man, I do the coolest, biggest adventures. I'm going to be able to film these, and everybody's going to fall in love with them. And then they'd turn on that camera, and I'd forget how to talk into it, or I'd get home, and I just wouldn't have the clips to tell a story.
Yeah.
But throughout the years, it's something that I've really worked at, honed my skills, and really proud of the films that I'm putting out now. So it's just taken about 15 years or so. But yeah, man, all good. Just living my best life, man. I get to bow hunt a bunch, which is what I love to do.
I believe it. Here's a question I have for you. And so you said something that I actually hear relatively, it's not that uncommon, where people start as a writer, writing different hunting stories, etc., and publishing them in places like Eastman. Were you a writer before, or were you just kind of so passionate about hunting you just had to put it down, and when you started, that was the best way to do it? Or you tell me. I'm asking multiple questions, and I want to ask just one.
No, that's all good. That's such a good question. So no, I was horrible in English class. I was horrible at writing. I didn't go on to college. I didn't know how to use punctuation or paragraphs or sentences hardly. I mean, I did roughly, but basically it was just through my passion of hunting. And magazines were so big when I was coming up. Like, I used to run to the mailbox to read Cameron Haynes's articles and Eastman's Bowhunting Journal when he was the editor. And through that, it was like a great way to tell my story and like this great platform. So it's a skill that I just kind of fell in love with, expressing myself, expressing my hunts, the adventure of it, and then sharing, some great critters that I was able to put a bunch of work into an arrow. And so I pretty much taught myself how to write, but I do I do practice it a bunch. Like I journal every day, write down my thoughts a bunch, and then the Eastman's, I had written quite a few articles and gotten published just like in their subscriber stories, like telling my story of the animals, no payment, no nothing. And I always say, like, invest in yourself first. So writing those for free, and finally I wrote the editor. I'm like, hey, what about writing a pro staff article for you guys? And he goes, okay, kid, yeah, I'll give you a chance. Like, send me over an article idea or a couple article ideas, and I'll see if I can get them approved. And I think the next day I sent that guy like 30 article ideas, and I've been writing for him ever since.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Well, that's cool. I'm always curious. It's kind of a path that people take that end up in the industry. They're just so passionate that they end up just like working themselves into it. And I'm not a writer, and I'm wondering if, maybe I should dabble in it, because it just seems like a really good way to capture stories. I think, obviously we've got this, which feels very campfire, caveman, like telling it around the hunt camp. But I think there's something to be said about writing down your stories. And I think it's something that I need to practice more.
Yeah, we can all step outside ourselves and find some improvement. But the podcasting is doing great, and you've been running it for quite a few years, and you're a great interviewer. That's a skill as well. Like, you first start podcasting, and you don't know, like, you get nervous. You don't know what to say on mic. I would talk too much on my podcast instead of letting my guest talk. Like, there's all these self-improvement there in the podcasting world too. And I think it's such a great media to express ourselves. So, man, you're doing it.
All right. Well, thank you. I can't admit that I have not missed a week. I have missed weeks. I definitely have. But, burnout, you got to develop the way that you want to establish, your cadence and all that stuff. And sometimes you come back more refreshed and stronger. So that's the way that worked for me. But we're going down a media rabbit hole. We don't need to do that, Brian. We're here to hear some stories, man. So I know you said you have a couple maybe that just jumped to the front of the mind there. So why don't you set the stage for our first story, and let's dive into it.
Yeah, so man, I just love the adventures I get to go on, and the fun of these hunts is like being on them, preparing for them, and going for them. So like, I have so many great stories for the past, and I'm sure maybe we'll get into some of those stories. But I mean, the one that's most present to me is the last one I was just on. Man, is like late season mule deer with a bow, bitter cold and deep snow, and my mule deer seasons, They tend to last, like this year I had the whole month of November to hunt. So the only days I didn't hunt were days that I had windshield time driving back and forth, or a day to do some laundry and repack my gear. But the November rut is special, man. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is these big bucks come out of hiding and they're moving a bunch, which makes them easier to see. The curse is they're moving a bunch, so they're really tough to get close to with a bow. And a lot of people will hunt muleys, but man, late season with a bow is like the ultimate challenge. And this is something I've been doing, oh my gosh, I hate to date myself, but it's got to be 15 or 20 years. I actually hunt the rifle seasons with orange with my bow. There's something about bow hunting that just grabbed a hold of me that won't let go. And I went bow exclusive like back in 2005. And it's not that rifle hunting isn't a challenge. It's not that rifle hunting isn't fun. It's that I get so much exhilaration out of bow hunting. And then I'm in this quest to be the best bow hunter I can be for myself. And it was like if I stayed in a bow hunter's mindset, like always thinking about the wind, always thinking about the stock, I'd become a better bow hunter. And so through this is like why I kill a lot of great animals, is I get so much experience bow hunting. So the late season muleys, it's all with a bow for me. So I had a couple tags in a couple different states, and so traveling around and hunting, and man, just in epic mule deer season.
That's awesome. And one thing I want to mention just real quick, and sorry to interrupt, but I have been this close to pulling the trigger, pun not intended, on taking my bow instead of my rifle on my rifle hunts, because it's just something that's like super interesting to me, especially like those November hunts. I have a third season rifle here in Colorado. I'm like, man, should I just bring my bow? Should I just bring it? And I've never done it, and like maybe I should. What's funny is that I've killed a bunch of stuff with my bow in the last few years, and I still have not harvested anything with my rifle. I got a great rifle. Every time I go out, it just doesn't happen. And maybe I'm like, oh, it's too hard already in those seasons. Why would I do my bow? I don't know. maybe I need to be inspired by your story here, Brian, to bring my bow out in November, because it's something that I've constantly thought about, man. So I think it's very cool that you're doing it.
Yeah, it is a challenge. It's like tough to find animals during that rifle season, and so what it does is it hones your skills at like finding better spots. Because to be an archery hunter during rifle season, like I've got to have good spots. I got to get chances. I got to get away from the pressure. And those days of field, like experience, is the best teacher. And so the more days you spend afield, the better you get. So man, that's awesome. Congratulations on your bow success recently. And yeah, it's like if you're harvesting animals and filling the freezer, like might be time to commit to that bowl, especially if it lights your heart on fire like it does mine, man. It's like another level of like getting close and putting a perfect arrow into an animal, and things can go wrong. Animals jump strings. I mean, mule deer are horrible at it. Like, I don't know. I'm sure everybody has this thing with mule deer, but it's like, man, 1 in 3 mule deer will jump your string. And I actually had 2 in a row do it to me this year within about an hour span of time of jump my string.
Goodness.
So this started like I had like a Badlands Breaks tag, which is kind of like prairies, and I've hunted these prairies for years, hunt them with my family out there. I just love hunting that type of country where you can really roll a lot of country, glass a bunch. And yeah, it was kind of early in the rut, and so I spotted 2 bucks that were running together, and they were just covering an immense amount of country. And I had this master vantage point, and I watched them all morning long and just cruise like a couple of miles. And one was wide, one was tall, and they were both like really good 4 points for like this breaks country. And so I watched them and then put them to bed in like this broken country with a little bit of north side timber, and not like heavy timber. It's fairly open country, but just a patch of trees that was north side, and then broken country, one kind of laid down below a cliff down there. And so, you know, able to mark them, knew where they were at, and then dive off the vantage point after they bedded down mid-morning, like 10, 11 o'clock, something like that. It took me quite a while to make it over there. And so getting over there, and it always looks different than when you're on the vantage. It lays out and everything's so perfect. And so I've learned over the years, I mark a pin where they're at. You know, I take a picture of the country so I can recognize it when I get over there. And really, yeah, getting to them wasn't a problem. Like they had a pretty dominant draw that like went up towards them. So knew where they were at, started up the draw, and get up there, and I'm creeping into where they're at in that timber patch, and they're up on their feet. And so as they're up on their feet, I'm able to get in the bottom, and I'm able to cruise. I've actually got a cameraman with him. He's my good friend, Cole Herb. He's been videoing me the last couple of years. I've videoed some great hunts. He's really talented. And so he knows when to move and when not. And so we hunt pretty good together. And so there's 2 of us. We dip down in the draw. As I come up over the top where they should be, catch them, and they're bedded. And they've actually worked their way back to the edge of that timber. And I've got, like this little cut that's like keeping me hidden. And I pop up, and he's about 70 yards or so bedded. No idea I'm there. And it looks like I can get about like 15 more yards on him. So I slip around the edge, slip in, get 15 more yards. And as I come up, these mule deer are so aware and so switched on, like that buck's on to me. He's bedded, but he's looking in my direction. I get to my knees. I've got my bow in front of me. I've got a range on him. Like I'm ready to go. Cameras on him from behind me. So like we're good. We're in position. And sometimes you have to wait out these bucks an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to stand, which is just painful. And it's more painful when you don't know they're there. But this one, you know, I've got a clear view of through the grass. But he just knew something was up, whether he caught just a little bit of movement through the grass from us getting set up to try to shoot, or if he heard a little grass break or whatever it was. I can tell he's on to us, staring in our direction. And pretty soon he stands and he's looking down at us. And so he's roughly about 50 yards or so, maybe like 52 or something. I can't remember the exact yardage. But as he stands up, I draw back, and he's just standing there broadside, looking right in our direction, and put the pin on him and pull, and that shot breaks, and it's just wild, man. It's like you can watch it on the film of this buck just get completely out of the way of this arrow. So the arrow hits behind his butt. But it's wild, too, because I had, like, this piece of dirt and I had, like, a piece of sagebrush, and you can mark the exact spot where his vitals are, and it's an absolute perfect shot. Would have 10-ringed him if he was sitting there waiting for the arrow, but he wasn't. He got out of the way from that arrow and took off cruising. And so that's mule deer hunting. They, like, jump the string, and it's difficult. Sometimes you do all the right things and it doesn't work out. So
here's a couple questions for you.
Yeah, you bet.
You said you get into position, cameraman behind you on your knees. It's painful. Is the pain for you, and this is my personal experience, like my feet start to fall asleep and stuff like that, or what is it for you that's the painful part, and what do you do to get through that mentally?
Well, I was talking more about, like, the patience, like, painful as being, like, having to wait 2 or 3 hours for a buck to stand. It just, like, tests you from, like, keeping still, but it does, like, I know what you're saying. It's so tough to be still, and your legs can start falling asleep, your feet, your arches of your feet, you kind of, like, shift your weight around to the front knee, to the back knee. You're trying not to let anything fall asleep, but you're trying to get in as comfortable of a position as you can, but it's wild, like, how tough it is to be completely still. And my rule is I never throw a rock, I never get a buck up. I want to let them get up on their own. And in a perfect scenario, that buck doesn't know I'm there. I've also had them jump the string when they have no idea I'm there. This one was alert to my presence, staring down at me when he stood up, and jumped the string. They are more likely to jump if they know you're there. Also, if it's quiet or you don't have much wind noise, they're more likely to jump. But yeah, I mean, the painful, I think it's physical and mental. I was talking more the mental side, but it is physical as well. And I don't know if there's an answer. It's just developing those patience and then being able to shift your weight around kind of left and right to find a comfortable position. I think, like, this is, like, sounds a little bit like a Guru. You were telling me before the podcast you knew more vegans than hunters living in Boulder, but I do think, like, yoga and mobility training is great for this as well. The more limber you are, the more flexible you are, the more you can hold these positions and last a little bit longer. So yeah, as I get older, I think flexibility and mobility are just as important as strength.
Interesting. Okay. What's funny is, like, with yoga, you mentioned it. I've done all sorts of different workouts, CrossFit, whatever. I'll just go out there and I'll muscle through it, and I'm by the end I'm exhausted. But I was like, that's a good workout. But something like yoga is so damn hard. I don't know what it is, but it's just something. It's like it's the mental portion of it. But I recommend everyone try it because I can't imagine anything that is that hard isn't good for you. So I'm glad you brought that up. Next question, and this is maybe just ignorance, because like I told you, I'm kind of a newer hunter, but you had him bedded. What stops a hunter from shooting at a bedded deer? Is it just because the vitals are kind of maybe in different places? You're not sure the shot's going to be there. Is it illegal in Montana? I'm just not really sure. I've actually not hunted long enough to actually have to worry about that. I've never had an animal down in front of me bedded except for once, but he had a whole log in front of his body, so it didn't matter that he was bedded. Hey, hunters. Have you ever had one of those stories, the ones that you didn't want to tell, the ones that end in failure? Yeah, I've been there. Actually, you know what? The culprit for me usually is bad optics, or worse, lack of using my optics at all. Picture this. I spot a trophy buck, or an antelope, or an elk, whatever it may be. My heart is racing, but the blurry view, or I just can't quite identify exactly what I'm looking at, it has me second guessing. Well, that's where Vortex Optics comes in. With crystal clear glass and rugged durability, Vortex gives you the confidence to take the shot. Don't let poor optics ruin your story. Make every moment count. Upgrade to Vortex and turn your hunting tales into triumphs. Visit vortexoptics.com today. Hey, hunters. Have you ever had one of those stories, the ones that you didn't want to tell, the ones that end in failure? Yeah, I've been there. Actually, you know what? The culprit for me usually is bad optics, or worse, lack of using my optics at all. Picture this. I spot a trophy buck, or an antelope, or an elk, whatever it may be. My heart is racing, but the blurry view, or I just can't quite identify exactly what I'm looking at, it has me second guessing. Well, that's where Vortex Optics comes in. With crystal clear glass and rugged durability, Vortex gives you the confidence to take the shot. Don't let poor optics ruin your story. Make every moment count. Upgrade to Vortex and turn your hunting tales into triumphs. Visit vortexoptics.com today.
I love shooting bedded animals. If I have a shot at them in their bed, I will shoot it. It's usually like a smaller target you're aiming for, and then if they're down below you, sometimes they're laying into the side hill with their spine exposed. You know, I just, some people's bows will shoot through spines, and maybe mine would too. I have great energy, but that spine will stop an arrow, you know, at least mine, 26.5-inch draw. So I will shoot a buck in his bed if I have a shot, like they're relaxed there, don't know you're there. In this instance, like I had a piece of sagebrush in the way or a piece of brush where I just didn't have a clear shot at his vitals in his bed, or I would have shot him in his bed because I love shooting him in their bed.
Okay. I was just curious. I was like, I wonder if I don't, like, because I was like, why didn't he just shoot him? That makes a lot more sense if there's just debris and whatnot in the way and just not a clear shot. Okay. Those are my questions. So let's continue. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. So I was talking about 2 jumping my string within an hour. So I actually had a backup buck. He was chasing a doe way out in this field, like maybe another mile out or so. And I kind of knew the draw he put away in. And so, you know, it's like, well, we got a backup plan, which is always nice when you're hunting mule deer to have another shooter buck that you're going to go for. And he was a big 3x4. And so anyways, we busted this. It's like a heartbreaker. It's like, it's hard not to be disappointed, and you put in all this work, and not only that day, but, you know, I've backpacked into a spot already. I've been hunting a couple days. Like, I'm 5 days into this hunt and then have a buck jump your string like that. It's such a bummer, but we're going to go get after this backup buck, and he's in this cut, like this real deep, steep draw, and the draw isn't that deep. It's like, I don't know, maybe, like from the top to the bottom, maybe 100 feet, which is like 30 yards deep or something like that. And I know he put away in this draw. I'm not sure where he is. And so I go over and I get in the bottom of the draw, and I just start creeping because I know there's a buck in that draw. I'm not sure if he's with the does, with the smaller buck, or how he's put away. And I just start coming up over the edge, and I glass him. I glass him bedded. Find him. He's up above in the draw. He's got a good wind for an approach. Doesn't know I'm there. I'm like, oh, perfect. And so we kind of creep in. I've got my cameraman with me, and it's just like wide open grass, and then dumps over into this draw. And as I get closer, he's like staring in my direction. So I can't come up and shoot him over his bed, because the minute I come over that rise, he's going to break. And so I just get into range where I can see his horns. And he's bedded there, and I'm like waiting for him to get up. I had to creep into like 30 yards, so I'm really close. And usually I like to shoot these things about 40 to 60. Like 30 is a little close for me. And it's not that I don't want a close shot. It's that they get aware of your presence, you know. And so he must have caught something in the open grass, kind of like that other one, or just something isn't quite right, you know, maybe heard something in that grass. And so we're really in position for about 5 minutes on this one. And then he just kind of pops up and then cruises to the top of the draw, and then comes walking right towards us. He's about 35 yards. And it's like, man, there's no way that I'm not going to crush this thing. And he's quartered kind of towards me, and I'm going to put it right in the front of him. You know, that's a shot that I'll take if they're closer. And him being inside 40 like that is definitely a shot I can make right there. And same thing, man. I break a great shot. You can put a dot on this mule deer where I want to hit, and the arrow hits right there, and he ducks and rolls, and it goes right over like his shoulders right there as he ducks to go. And so that's how I had 2 deer jump my string this year within about an hour, where it's just like, God, I cannot win, you know? And so yeah. Man, it's like from there, I mean, I have got so many miles back to my truck. I mean, maybe 5, but I've got a huge climb back up to the vantage point, back up to my truck. So I've got a long time to think about these 2 bucks. I think I did make a day hunt out of it. I circled around to a vantage point, found another buck that I passed, and it was good that I didn't get, like sometimes, you know, having 2 bucks jump my string like that, all of a sudden I'll see a good medium buck, and then, you know, I'll be eager to go get revenge and go put an arrow in them just to prove that I can arrow a buck. But I want to find the right buck, and I was lucky to have, two shooters, or actually three shooters located that day. The two bucks bedded together, and then this big 3x4. So it was a nice 3x4. I took some photos. It's really cool. I put him on my IG, but he's right like in this cut, in this scar of the landscape, and he's bedded like in the perfect spot up against this dirt hillside. But past that buck and make the long hike out that night and get back. And really all you can do is pick yourself up and get back after it. Like bow hunting has so many highs and lows, and this is just a low. I broke two perfect shots. They didn't hit their mark. You know, I am fortunate. I didn't hit any buck bad or have them jump the string and catch it in the guts or something like that, where I have to then chase a deer across the prairie for 2 days to try to kill them, or they're suffering. And so, you know, really, you know, I've still got arrows in my quiver. It's no harm. Like, haven't hurt any deer. I've still got my tag, and it's great hunting. So basically, I just got to get back to it and get back to chasing these mule deer. And so, man, I just get back into the hunt. A couple days go by, and don't really get any chances in that spot. I move farther north again, a spot that I had checked out there. And not a whole lot going on, but then it gets to around November 8th. And, man, snowstorm comes in and gets cold. Now it's feeling like November, cold wind, you know. And so all of a sudden the place just goes off. Like, these bucks just start coming into the rut. They start showing up everywhere. They're chasing does. And I've got the whole location, the whole spot, like I haven't seen another hunter, which is great. It's just like I got the whole place to myself, and it's prime rut. So,
That's
yeah,
amazing.
Bucks start
dream
cruising.
scenario.
Oh, dude, it's a dream scenario for sure. Yeah, bucks start rutting pretty hard, and I catch this buck that comes out. He's got a beautiful typical frame. He's a big buck, and then he's got a sticker on his side, like about a 3-inch sticker. So, and so, man, it's just an awesome buck I'd love to kill, and he's just all rutted up with this one doe in this sage flat, and kind of make an approach at him down off the vantage point. I catch him right there. I can see him, but I just can't get close enough. I got to circle all the way around to get the wind right, come up the draw. It's going to take me quite a while. And so make this big approach down and around and circle. And that morning I had seen another shooter I named Beach Ball. His antlers kind of went wide, and then they curved back in like kind of the shape of a beach ball.
Okay.
And he was really heavy and old. He had like one front fork and one back fork on the other side, but he's heavy, tall, old, big frame, and it's probably like an 8 or 9-year-old deer. And it's like, man, if I get a chance at that one, he'll catch an arrow. And so I'm hunting this sticker buck, and I kind of make this approach down on up this draw and kind of come up with a good wind, and that sticker buck's gone. And there's still like a couple does in this sage flat. Scanning and looking, and make a couple different approaches where I like kind of duck back down in the draw. I move up a little bit, come up, glass what's in front of me, try not to expose myself. Like, the game is like, you know, if they see you, the game's up. So you got to see them before they see you. So just really creeping around down in there. And then I catch Beach Ball, which is wild because Beach Ball was 1.5 miles, 2 miles away from this location in the morning. And catch him, and he's rutting a doe in that same spot that sticker buck was. And so big, heavy, tall one, and he's actually breeds the doe in front of me like 5 or 6 times. Like, he's got like the rut is going off.
Yeah.
And fairly open and exposed, and I'm about 100 yards, and I'm just kind of playing the game, waiting for my chance, and then they get behind a rise. And so I make a quick move on them, pop up and come over the top, and him and his doe are right there. And I would have loved to shoot him right there, but the doe's head is in the way of the buck's vitals, the way they kind of came up.
All
and
right.
So I leave my cameraman right there, say, don't move, and I'm able to duck back down and scoot over about 5 yards to my left. And then, come up, draw, execute a good shot on him, and hit him good. Shot felt good, and as he's running up the hill, the arrow is like, the fletchings are like pointing up towards the sky like a weird angle. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, you know. And the sound, it sounded good. It didn't sound like a shoulder hit or anything. And he runs up the hill and then kind of spins a death circle, and I think he's going to tip over and then makes it up over the top. And it's right at last light. So I go up, The arrow didn't pass through him or anything, so hit the offside shoulder, or who knows, like exactly what happened. Kind of review the footage, can't tell exactly where the shot's at, can kind of tell, that arrow or that fletching's pointing up, and so go up and I look over the rise for him, and I don't see him over there. I'm thinking I might see him bedded or hurt or something, and so I don't see him. I come back to where I hit him, and we just start gritting and looking for blood right there. Like, there's got to be some sign right there. It's always tough to find blood in the dark versus finding it with the lights on. And so we grid and we zig and we zag in the dark with our headlamps, and I just don't want to take chase of this buck in the dark where I can't get a second arrow in him, because I'm not sure how bad he's hit or what the problem, what the scenario is. And I actually could not find blood where I hit him there. I've got an entrance, I've got no exit, which is really worrisome. Like, blood trails always lead to dead animals, and anytime you leave the blood and you start gritting hillsides, it's always like a low percentage chance, But I'm just going to come back in the morning. I've got a good master vantage point. I'm going to jump on that. I'm going to glass down for him. It's going to get super cold that night, in the 20s. He's going to be fine. And then, if I've got to make a follow-up shot in the morning or whatever, if he's still alive, I can do it with the lights on and not spook him in the dark and chase him across the hillside or something, to where I can't get him.
Yeah, never see him again. He'll just run 5 miles in the dark.
Yep. So go up and sleep that night. It's a long night, and then it's fogged in the morning. I can't see. And so kind of waiting for that fog to clear a little bit, finally clears, and go out on the vantage and start glassing around. And yeah, he's laying there dead about 150 yards from like where I arrowed him. He just took a hard left when he made it over the hill, and clipped the heart. The shot went through the edge of the shoulder, so right in the pocket. Got through that shoulder, hit the offside shoulder, and must have just hit that offside shoulder and ricocheted, and that's why that fletching was coming up or something strange like that. But yeah, it heart shot him, which to make it 150 or maybe 200 yards total. I'm not sure if it was like dead center through the heart, like maybe hit the front of the heart and clipped a bunch of that stuff. Also had blood from his nose, so I did get a lung in there as well. But yeah, he made it quite a while. He was like a big warrior buck, like a fighter. He had been running those prairies for a long time and bred a bunch of does in there, and able to outsmart a buck like that and get an arrow into him, man, is like the ultimate. So November 8th is when I killed him. And so
that's awesome.
That was the start to my mule deer season in November, is like this big old buck that able to arrow and just have this awesome adventure, out on the prairies. Was really cool.
That's super cool. And I like the vision. I mean, one thing, I love fresh stories because you have so many more fresh memories and you're able to develop this visual, and you did a really good job of kind of like filling us in on all the little grooves in the landscape and the wind and everything. That was great, Brian. That was a really fun story. And I love the name Beach Ball. Like, you hear enough Megatrons and these kind of things. So it's nice to have like something a little bit more unique. So very cool, man. And I'm glad that you found him. I was worried for a minute that this story was going to end a little sad, but I'm glad you found him.
Yeah, it's archery. It's science, man. You need lungs, heart, or liver, or you got about a 10% chance to get them. And it can happen with a bow or with a rifle. And I have a good track record. I have a broadhead that I like. I've been in these scenarios and situations a bunch under pressure and have to make a shot. So I really trust in my skills, but things happen and deer move, just like the past two that jumped my string. I had 2 misses on this hunt before I arrowed this buck.
That reminds me, but continue. I'll tell you my little string jumping story. Okay. I went access deer hunting in Molokai, and I'm about 50 yards out from this spot when these deer come in, and I take a photo of the deer. And we all have cell reception, so there's a group of 6 or 7 of us, and we're all sort of texting because there's not much going on. But I take a photo, and I draw back, and just like you, man, I release just what it feels like the most perfect shot. Like, everything about it is just absolutely wonderful. And I tell everyone when I tell this story that deer had time to run up to me, slap me across the face, and then run off before my arrow landed. But what's funny is I took a photo before, just because, like, oh, look, here's the deer. And then I took a photo after, and you could see my lighted knock exactly in the same spot as that deer's vitals. And, it just happens. I had some things that I fixed, and I eventually did put an access deer down. You can probably see it over my shoulder, but I have the bow hitch I'm sure you're familiar with the bow hitch. When I went out there, I took it off to make it fit in my case better with all of my stuff, and I didn't bring a screwdriver to tighten it, so it was like rattling. So I took the bow hitch off, and I made all these adjustments. One thing that was fun about that hunt is I was able to shoot so many arrows that I was able to make adjustments kind of on the fly, and eventually I was like, okay, they're too fast. 50 yards not going to do it. Like my bow, maybe it's too slow. I don't know. I found a position for 30 yards. I ended up shooting a couple different axis deer. But man, it's crazy when you just feel the perfect shot and there's nothing you can do about it. They just jump the string. It's absolutely crazy.
Dude, axis deer are so bad about jumping the string, man. Those things are so switched on and so quick. You have to get everything right to kill them with a bow. And they evolved from avoiding Bengal tigers in India, you know? And so, like, they're quick twitch muscle fibers, man. They will jump a string. The best is when they jump a string or turn or roll or react to the arrow and then catch it, you know? It's like I had one that I was shooting broadside that he turned to roll and he turned towards me and caught it right in the front. I ended up getting him, you know, but yeah, it doesn't happen that way too often. Most of the time they're nowhere close to that arrow when they leave. And sometimes it's better to get closer because your bow's quick, but sometimes it's better to get further where they don't jump or react to the sound of the bow as well, you know? So I kind of struggle with both of those, but yeah, I hunt axis every single year, man. I love those things. They're really so cool. Improve your skill set as a bow hunter, stalking and shooting, and like you say, it's a game rich environment, an opportunity rich environment. So you get a lot of chances of stalking them, shooting at them, and they make you a way better bow hunter for sure.
Yeah. Have you played around with calling them? Because I managed to call a buck in. So where I was only allowed to kill one buck and 4 does. I killed my buck, and then the next day I had this little call, and I'm like, well, I just saw this buck running away, and I was like, let's see what happens. I called him into about 5 yards, and I'm sitting on an open hillside, no cover, and I can't shoot this thing, and I'm like, oh man, what do I just sit there and didn't move, and he came right in on a string. Have you ever tried?
Oh, that's super cool, man. No, I haven't tried calling. I actually don't use any calls. I don't use them for elk. I don't use them for deer. I don't use them for axis. Like, I love the art of spot and stalk. But there's times and there's places where I could use it like axis deer, like what you're doing. My buddies have rattled on them a little bit, and then yeah, I always like can mimic sounds with my mouth to try to get them to stop for a shot. But no, I haven't played around with it much, man. But that sounds like a thrilling encounter, man. If you could call them into 5 yards like that, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was a little doe bleat or whatever noise they make, and man, he came right in. He wasn't a shooter or anything, and plus I'd already burned my buck tag. But man, it was cool. I've never had an animal respond that like on a line. He was across this valley, maybe 300 yards away, and I just did the little doe bleat, and man, he dropped down, and I was like, oh gosh, what do I do? And next thing I look up, he's right next to me, and I was like, oh man, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's super cool. No, I haven't tried that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm stealing the thunder here with my lame axis deer stories, but what else do you got, Brian? Maybe you have an axis deer story you want to tell, or an elk story, and then I want to be respectful of your time. We'll get you out of here, or right along the scheduled time.
Yeah. Well, this kind of like leads me into my close of November. So I did have another mule deer tag, and I killed a great buck. And usually my rule, like my goals for the season is like kill one good late season buck between the states I have, and man, I'll be happy with that. And same with early season, same with elk. If I'm hunting multiple states, it's like kill one good bull, and man, I'll be happy. But it is only November 8th. I get this thing home and I get them processed, and I've got a hunt that I've been looking forward to for a whole year. I killed a 182 in there last year with my bow, which was my best late season buck that I had killed. He had an extra front, and I saw and chased some great bucks. I think he was the third biggest buck I had seen in there. So I have got this spot that I've been developing for quite a few years, and now this spot takes place later November, and then, man, it's big mountains, it's bitter cold, it's deep snow. Like, man, it takes grit and tenacity to hunt this place. And so I'm pretty stoked. I've got this late season tag. I've already got a buck, and so I can really hunt for a giant in there and see if I can get him killed. So my first rip in there, I'm actually going to go with my buddy Dylan Ness. I've ditched the cameraman. We filmed it the year before, but yeah, I've got a late season film done, and so I do about half my hunts with the film guy and half without. And really, that keeps me in a good headspace. It's always tough to get two people into range on public land, do it yourself, of a giant buck and arrow him. And so this is like a bit of like a personal trip. It's just like, man, it's just me and my bow. I don't have to record anything, you know. I don't have to get anything for social media or anything. Like, it's just me hunting. And so this place, man, it's bitter cold, deep snow, and so we're gonna backpack in. And so me and my buddy Dylan, we backpack in a teepee in there, and we have like just this epic hunt. I'm able to find this buck from the year before. It's one of the ones that was bigger than the buck I killed, and he's a double sticker buck. He's got about a 5-inch flyer out each side, and then a huge typical frame. It's like a dream buck, like a lifetime big buck.
And what'd we name him?
Gosh, I think we called him Sticker Buck.
Okay.
But he's just a giant. Stickers, I think, is what we called him, just because those two stickers coming out either side. So the Sticker Buck is would be my best late season deer and be right up there with any deer I've ever killed. He's just an absolute giant. And the good buddy that Dylan is, we hunt together a bunch, we fish together a bunch. He's like, man, he's like, you know, that's your deer. You know, you get a chance at that deer, you go try to kill him. You know, I'll find a deer for myself. Like, you know, you focus on that buck. And so he's a great buddy, and you always. Like, to have good friends, you have to be a good friend, and you want them to succeed as much as you want to succeed. So, you know, like a quick argument of like, you know, I want Dylan to kill a good buck, and I think he should go for it, but he wins out. He's like, man, it's your spot. That's the deer you've been looking for. I had him in bow range the year before. I had him in bow range, but staring right at me, and I didn't have a shot and thought I could keep playing the game. It was like during this snowstorm, and I had climbed this summit. We called it Everest. I had my cameraman with me, and we had to climb about 5,000 feet from where the truck was just to get to that buck, and ended up in bow range during a snowstorm. He gave me just a forward-facing shot, but it was just too far for that shot. I needed a good broadside on him at that distance, and anyways, he ended up disappearing, and I never found him again. I ended up killing the 182 later in the season, but couldn't find him. And so we find this giant sticker buck, but he's down in this sage flat, wide open from us to him, and he's got like 22 does down in there, and there's a couple other bucks, and they're just spread out all over. And I'm like, this is my dream buck. I've got a decent wind. It's like, God, I almost think, should I just try to belly crawl the whole way in there through the sage? I've got about 500 yards to make it to him, and I'm just like, man, it isn't a high percentage play. Like, that's a buck of a lifetime. I need to just wait, and I need to get on this buck in the morning.
A lot of eyeballs, even for belly crawling. That's a lot of eyeballs.
Man. And it would have worked if they weren't so spread out. I had 5 does to the right on the good wind side that were bedded over there, and so they would have seen my approach. There was another satellite buck up closer to me. It just was like a low percentage, and I'm just going to end up bumping them, and that's going to be my chance. It's like I'd be better off to play it in the morning. And so we have to hike way back into our teepee camp that night. We're way a ways from it. So we get back, we get our dinner, and wake up super early in the morning. It's a 4 a.m. start, and we start with our red headlamps, and we're climbing through, you know, bitter snow and cold, and it's you know, it's 20 degrees. It is frigid out, you know, and so you're constantly layering up and layering down, trying not to sweat. And as wild, we got up, kind of getting up on the ridge, and we're going for this buck, and all of a sudden, like, I feel this bird that hits me in the head, and I'm like, what in the hell? And I turn, and it's pitch black, but I've got my red headlamp in, and it swings back around and hits me in the head again, and it's a damn bat that's trying to eat my red light up there. I'm not sure if it has rabies or what, really? But it's fluttering everywhere around my red light, and finally I go, turn your light off, you know, and so I turned my light off in the dark, and it finally, like, left us alone. But yeah, it hit me in the head twice and was fluttering around my face, and it was a bat way up there in bitter cold. It's like 20 degrees in the snow, and this bat's trying to get my red light like it's the eyes off a bug or something. You know,
crazy. I've never heard of anything like that.
Dude, it's a first for me too. Yeah, it's 20-some years in the backcountry. That's a first for me as well. So luckily it wasn't a vampire bat, and it didn't bite me. I didn't get rabies, and able to get my headlamp out. But yeah, pretty wild encounter. And so
man,
we show back up.
Something deep inside me says, like, why isn't that bat like in a cave hibernating or something? I don't know enough about bats to say that that's what they do, but it feels weird at like middle of the night, 20 degrees or colder, and he's out there just swinging punches at you, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, I never seen anything like it. Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand either. Yeah, I think it should be hibernating or in a cave, or I'm not sure what happened, man. But yeah, and there's no bugs around or anything to eat.
Exactly,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. I don't, some lost rabid bat or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you survived. That's good to hear.
Survived the bat attack, and so we pop out on that sage flat with our game plan to find this buck. I mean, we left him 22 does and a buck rutting him like crazy, and it's like it's this huge basin, and it's like, man, he's gonna be there in the morning, and show up, and it's crickets. It's like no buck, couple does here and there. The does are kind of spread out. We don't even catch any of the satellite bucks that were in there, and that buck's just gone. It's like, well, it's the rut, who knows? And so we circle around that morning. We grab another vantage point on the other side of the drainage. We glass, and now it's getting midday, and we haven't turned up this buck. And I'm thinking to myself, man, maybe I should have tried to belly crawl last night on this thing. It's like during the rut, they can just move. And so we figure he's not in this drainage. He's not in the adjacent drainage. We glass it all. It's like, man, I don't know where he went, but, let's head on out. I saw him in some rutting grounds last year. It's a different sage flat. We got to go back to our camp and then back out. I mean, I think this day we ended up doing about 13 or 15 mountain miles with elevation in there. And so we're just burning it. Dylan's in really great shape like I am, and we live for these moments and these hunts. And so middle of the day, it's like, man, we're not going to see him tonight in this drainage. He's not here. We would have seen him this morning. We've had all the best vantage points. Like, let's roll out to this other sage flat we haven't been, and let's go check it out. And really, it's kind of like look for a buck for Dylan. I'm kind of set on this double sticker buck to try to kill this thing. And so, we'll look for him. We've got more days to hunt. And so we roll by camp, and we roll way out this other sage flat. We're 5 miles at least, maybe 6 or 7 hiking from where we were looking for that buck. And we get out there and grab a vantage point, start seeing a couple does. And the giant sticker buck comes over the hill 7 miles away with his tongue out by himself looking for more does. Like,
That's
he had
crazy.
circumnavigated the whole mountain and came from the other side of the mountain than we came from, and comes over the top. And he's like moving so quick, like to watch a muley or an elk move through the mountains, they like effortlessly can climb. And so we're just watching him, and there's does up above, and we're like, what's he gonna do? And he just cruises. He's at our same elevation, instantly climbs up 1,000 or maybe 750, and then he's into some does, and he's rutting. And so it's like, well, we don't have much of a chance, but we do have a chance, man. We found him again, just this super giant of a buck. And so we kind of cruise around low side, and we get around low side, and we're kind of coming up, hunting our way up to where he is, glassing in front of us, trying not to bump anything. And I catch him up above us, and he's rutting a doe, and he's got one doe, and he's rutting her like crazy. And so I get in the draw, and Dylan again says, man, it's your play. Go for him, And so I start creeping my way up to him, and man, I mean, it's like this action-packed, and like this action you dream about when you hunt muleys during the rut. Like, he is chasing this doe, and I get up, and he's 100 yards, and he's moving to the left, and then he's moving to the right, and I'm able to close the distance, and I have him and the doe come by me in long bow range, kind of get behind the tree, and then head back up to the left, and I'm adjusting, and then all of a sudden, he leaves this doe. Like, this time of year, these bucks, they don't need to manage a bunch of toes like the 22 does the day before. Like, if I was a big old buck, I just would have kept with those and wait for something to come into heat. But that's not the way the peak of the rut works. Like, they travel miles, and they're looking for hot does. And so he chased that doe for a little while and lost interest. She wasn't ready. Time to go find some more. And he comes cruising back by me, and he comes cruising back by at bow range, like inside 50 yards where I can shoot him. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting for him to stop, and he gets behind a tree, never stops. And then he gets outside of the tree, and now he's kind of quartering away, still in bow range. And so I grunt at him to try to get him to stop. Doesn't stop. grunt at him again, doesn't stop. So then I like snort wheeze at him, and I finally get him to stop. I have a range on him. I go to draw back, and I just get drawn back, and then he starts going again. And it's not like he's spooked or knows that I'm there. He just is rutting like freaking crazy. And so
he's just motivated.
Yep. And so and then he bumps into 4 or 5 does and starts rutting them. And so I take chase around the corner, and man, I play the game with this thing, and like, it's just a dream to be able to play the game, hunt, and match wits with these deer. And when you're hunting late season deer with a bow, it's a bit like hunting elk, where you're just really aggressive and you're not getting reckless, but you're making these plays what you can get away with these deer. And so I play the game with this buck and these does, which is like a dream for me, for another hour around the other side. And he's rutting these does, and finally they like creep in this timber. I'm 120 yards away, and it's like, okay, I just need to close 50 yards, 60 yards, and I'll get a shot. And I try to close the distance, and when I start moving, they had left a doe out to the right that I didn't see. There was 5 does, and she caught me. They ended up blowing. Took chase, tried to relocate him, and nothing. And so, yeah, man, that was like the sticker buck. It was just like a heartbreaker. And I come back around the hillside, and Dylan's like all jacked up, and he had a big buck come over the hill. It's just a rut fest in there right now. And he had a giant buck come over the hill and come into bow range and stop behind a tree or whatever. And then he didn't have a shot at him. And then he went up and over the top. And so he's hiked both our packs up to this spot, almost shot that buck. And then we creep over into that sage flat where he was chasing the doe. And there's another shooter buck over there. And then, sent Dylan for the stock. And he just like slid his foot along the gravel as he was making his final approach in bow range. Buck looks up, ends up busting, and that's like the game we're playing. Like, these things are so difficult to kill with a bow and so difficult to stalk. You've got snowy conditions, and Dylan's a killer, man. He kills great bucks, great bulls every year. He'd already killed a great bull that year, and a great 80-inch antelope. I mean, the guy's a killer with a bow in his hands, and same as me. I pride myself as well. But yeah, we and then just like the rut, we show up the next day, red lamp back in there, climb way back up, master vantage point, and it's crickets. It's like a few does in there and a couple smaller bucks, but those big bucks that we were chasing, they're just off and on to the next spot. And Dylan's got his next kid on the way, his 3rd kid, and his wife was kind of sick, and so we made that play the next morning, and he's got to get back to his family and kind of get back. And I've got a hunt with my daughter that's like the most important hunt. It's like, gosh, when you have a 17-year-old that wants to hang out with you and wants to go hunt, you got to make it happen. And so he's the buck of my dreams. We hunted a week for him. Couldn't relocate him after that one encounter I had with him. But I've got this hunt with my daughter. Dylan's got to get back and take care of his family, and we got to call it quits, And so we head home, and but the deal is like, I just can't stop thinking about that sticker buck. So I go have this adventure hunt with my daughter. She killed a great buck, made a great shot. It was a rifle hunt, and just fun to share an adventure with her and like share what I love to do with her, And so we had a great hunt, but I know the whole time, like, man, I'm headed back to those big mountains. And so when I headed back, I was solo. And I'm going to backpack in, and now the snow's even deeper, and it's bitter cold. I've actually, to get my water, I've got to pack a hatchet in, and then I've got to hatchet a square out of the lake that I can dip in and get my water, so I don't got to climb 1,000 feet down the hill, or don't have to melt snow where you have to bring in more gas, and your snow always... The water from snow like always tastes like crap when you're doing it. But I packed my teepee and my stove in there, and got set up, hatcheted through the lake, able to get my water through there, and it's just bitter cold, deep snow. It's November mule deer hunting, and I'm towards the end of November. This is my last rip for him, and really looking for that sticker buck. And go out and make a hunt and look in that sage flat. And I get to that sage flat where I'd caught him last time. And, man, it's like crickets in there. It's like a couple does, but nothing. And I spot this fox, and the fox starts running away at 100 miles an hour. I'm like, what the heck? And I look up the hill, and there's 2 mountain lions that are hunting in there. And so it must be like a mom and her kit. And the kit's like full grown, so there's like 2 full grown mountain lions. So they had been hunting the sage flat that was so good to me. And so anyways, I kind of watched them for a little bit. Always wild to see mountain lions. And I got to just push on further from my camp and into a drainage that I've never hunted before and get over there and start finding some deer. And I hunted that evening over and through there, and it was pretty good. Like, I did see a couple shooter bucks over there, so I've kind of found where they've moved to from the snow or moved from those mountain lions, and I never found the sticker buck, and I kind of keep hunting. And then I come back like that night, like a couple days have gone by, but I'm hunting my way back at night, and I'm kind of making an evening hunt, and just catch this real framey buck. Like, man, he's wide and he's tall. He's a 3x4, but he's just a hammer. He's heavy and he's old, and it's kind of like almost post rut. So he's hanging close to the does, but he's kind of by himself, and it's just a quick move, man. It's like able to duck down. It's in the wide open, but able to get kind of a hill in between me and him, and make a move on him, make a play, and come up, and he's there, and he's offers me a good broadside shot, and just this one doesn't jump the string. He waits on the arrow and just caught him perfect. I mean, I can see the blood spilling out the far side of him. He kind of like wanders around for about 15 seconds down the hill, up the hill, and tips over. And it's like my late season deer, and he's just a giant, man. He's got like this huge frame on him. Probably, well, he is like my best late season deer. He's got 20-inch G2s, 20-inch and 19-inch on the backside. He's got 13-inch G4s. He's 28 wide. He's just a beast of a buck, man. Mass and everything a guy could hope for. And so there I am at night, like the end of November. And not only have I worked so hard this year, and it is a second buck that I've killed, but so hard, throughout the year, working hard to prepare and thinking about this spot. And the spot's really tough to hunt. And then so many years honing my skills at late season mule deer to kill my best buck, and then be by myself up there butchering that buck in the dark. And then, a huge hike back to camp to get him back to camp. And I just didn't get back on the trail, and so I'm just having to bushwhack through all this stuff. So I got back to camp at about 12:30, and then
that's probably freezing too.
Yeah, freezing cold, and then a snowstorm comes in, and it's supposed to snow a couple inches in the valley. It snows a foot on me in there. I had to wake up in the middle of the night, clear tent from the bottom of the teepee, and so I know the next day. I mean, I've already packed this thing till 12:30 at night, and now I've got to load up, pack this thing through a foot of snow, and I've got to get it back. I've actually took side-by-side to the parking spot that I could still get to before the snowstorm, but now I've got an extra foot of snow on it, and so I hike out that day, but it's just like, man, it's I get to do the coolest adventures. It's like, this is what I dreamed about as a kid, to have a giant buck on my back that I arrowed with my bow. Deep snow, bitter cold, there isn't a person around for 20 miles, or at least it feels that way, and here I am in this major snowstorm trekking through the snow with this giant buck that I've arrowed. And so I get them packed out that day. I make it back to the side-by-side. I've got to chain up all four. It's kind of cliffy off that thing, and able to kind of punch my way out of there in the bitter cold, and then make it back and get it loaded up and make it home. But yeah, my best late season deer, just a giant deer, man. So stoked to arrow that thing. So that's the way my season ended, and that's just like a couple weeks ago, I think.
That's a hell of a year, Brian. That's a hell of a year.
Hell of a year, yeah.
That's awesome. That's such an adventure, and man, I really, really do like your style of storytelling, which is probably why I listen to your podcast all the time. Man, I have all sorts of questions, but we're gonna wrap it up because I know we're running low on time here. And I think I want to have you back on in the future, man, if you're willing, because I have a feeling you have 100 other stories to share. But for now, Brian, why don't we, or why don't you share where you maybe want people to come find? Maybe it's your videos, maybe it's your articles, whatever it may be. I'll give you the stage.
Yeah, so Brian_Barney on Instagram. That's pretty much the only social that I run, and I try to kind of share my adventures through that. I've got the podcast, Eastman's Elevated, so you can find it anywhere you listen to podcasts. I also do another podcast with my buddy Dan Picard that's a bi-weekly one. That's Eastman's Life of a Bowhunter, so it's on a different feed. I do it with Dan Picard. every other week. So that's a great podcast as well you can tune into. I think we're in our third or fourth year of that one as well. So yeah, tune into the podcast. Eastman's Hunting Journal. You can see my videos. We talked about mule deer today, which is my love, but you can check out some of my videos from the season prior. And I will have a couple new videos coming out this year, but there's maybe like 15 or 20 videos. You kind of got to search back for them, but you can watch me kill my biggest bull to date, a 7.7 that I killed the year before. Watch me kill a giant 6-point that I killed in the same year. That's a mountain bull that I was able to arrow. And then, dude, I have this wild early season high country above 13,000 feet. I arrowed a great buck up there in the high country, and it was late in the hunt, and just really shows the adventure of hunting mule deer, like up where you hunt goats and sheep and things. So those videos were just last season's that I put out, and there's a bunch of other ones out there. So yeah, go check those out. Eastman's Hunting TV on YouTube. They're free to go watch. And magazines are Eastman's Bow Journal, Eastman's Hunting Journal, and so you can find me. I'm on the interwebs.
Perfect, Brian. I will put links to everything there in the show notes. Make it easy for everyone to just go start clicking on links and checking you out, man. Thank you so much for coming on today. I really do appreciate it. Like I said, I am a fan, and it was great to hear you just straight from the horse's mouth, hear these stories, and we can hear your passion, and your attention to detail is really great. So thank you. I really appreciate you.
My pleasure. Yeah, thanks so much, Michael. Appreciate you.
Of course. Yeah, and we'll have you back on in the future. I guarantee it. Thank you, Brian. All right, guys. That's it. Another couple stories in the books. Again, I want to thank Brian for coming on the podcast. Super great to meet him. I've been listening to his podcast for a while, watching his movies. He's a stud. That's all there is to say. So, Brian, thank you very much. I really do appreciate you. Guys, if you're listening now, make sure you check out his links. They're in the show notes. Check him out on Instagram, Facebook. Check out Eastman's Hunting Journals, his podcast, all those different stuff he's up to. I'll put links for whatever I can in there. And for you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. If you've been listening for a while and you haven't reviewed the show yet, please do that. I would very much appreciate that. I'm trying to get over 100 5-star reviews on all the different platforms. So that's Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to. Please review. I would very much appreciate that. Other than that, guys, I hope you had a wonderful New Year. Hope you had a great Christmas, happy holidays, all that stuff. And I hope that you're already planning for your 2026 hunts. So good luck, guys. I wish you all the best. Now get out there and make some stories of your own.